friend, is that the word they used? That horrible word. Yeah, they
The F word.
were looking for him, and he decided to leave a trail for us to follow. Lots of dead meat. Lots of it. And unfortunately, well, ran across the other infected. Yes, Mordecai is infected. I can see it. Blood is going through his veins like molasses. And he doesn't know. He doesn't know that how much he has fallen. Well, I'm speaking the way they do. They call him Mordecai. What it is a corpse, an abomination, something that should not be, but it may prove useful. Useful in tracking, useful in finding, useful in killing. Because all these fangs and fey need to be burned, reduced to ash, and left to the dust.
Yep. Oh, yeah, 12 for 10, whittle whittle. Yeah, Jade was having some arts and crafts in the last session. And in fact, if you all haven't seen, Coffee Cat illustrated that scene. It was a rather powerful scene. He went out of his way to illustrate it, and it's up on our Discord if you want to see.
The inspiration was real.
Yes. All right, let's hop over to Bright. And what's going through Bright's mind right now?
Well, I'm really worried about little Boxy. I was hoping we would find him on the road, but we didn't find him because they made it to town before we tracked them down, and now they could be anywhere. So I'm really worried, and I'm just hoping that Jade and Mordecai can refrain from killing each other, at least until we found everyone we need to find.
It's a very reasonable hope, I think.
Well, I'm not sure anymore. And and also, I feel like we're starting to learn a little bit more about the way our various curses work. And I'm starting to get along a little bit better with Norlai, which will probably be good for us in the long run. But I think we still have a lot of things that we all need to work out, and hopefully we will. Okay, that's all.
Yep, that's true. Norlai and Bright did have a bit more of a heart-to-heart, and asking some questions, telling some answers. I think it was a little bit more civil than the heart-to-heart that Jade wanted to have with Mordecai or Tazray, which was a little bit more physical of an interaction. Let's hop over. Yeah, your heart-to-heart did not involve actual hearts. Let's hop over to Norlai then. Norlai, there's a rumor going around that the tension between you and Bright might be starting to fade away. Is there any truth to those rumors? The public demands an answer.
Yeah, but Bright said she was sorry, so I forgave her, and we're gonna try to be friends now.
Do you have any particular thoughts or concerns that you're hoping or dreading after?
Well, I just hope she doesn't set my snake on fire again, because she has a habit to set things on fire.
Okay, well, fortunately, at least in the moment when you left off, it was a torrential downpour. So I hope that your snake won't be set on fire, even no matter how hard she tries.
And whoever has not electrocuted a whole river full of fish.
That happened as well.
About that.
Well, lunch. Just for lunch.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, you're just a bunch of rice away from a nice paella there.
But they'll be really tasty, and you'll thank me when we have lunch.
I don't think I'll eat any, but thank you for offering. Okay, go on, Celine or Mordecai, whoever's next.
Next up, we are going to have Mordecai. Mordecai had a little bit of an intense session last time. What's going on? What's stirring in your brain?
Well, some things have definitely been tense to say the least. And so, with the conversation I had with Jade after meeting Tazray and kind of realizing the implications of what this affliction means, am I going to become that monster? Am I going to be able to keep my promise and help everyone else get rid of it? There's a lot of doubt on my mind. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. That's my hope.
I'd imagine so. It was, seeing a possible reflection of yourself in the silver scales of Tazray, or hearing perhaps an unwarranted, but no less possible prophecy from Jade the Wretched. There's a lot of things for you to confront. And you're having, you're living it live. Or at least, you're, Dracula Undead and Loving It, was the Mel Brooks movie. So how or where this goes, it's a journey of self-discovery. Are you just a meat puppet dancing around pretending, sort of like what Jade said? Do you have, beauty in life, albeit different of your own, in a more brightly shaded opinion? Are you still you, as you were asserting? Like, I still have my memories. I'm just physically different. I'm not actually, Mordecai is Mordecai as the entity, not just as someone who needs to, breathe air or doesn't get fatigued walking around. So we'll continue that exploration. Celine, I'll tell you, as a revamp of your participation, you drove the cart expertly. You sat on that bench, you looked regal, very good posture. You could balance a textbook on your head the whole time, and you drove that cart ever forward, including across a somewhat broad stream. So, Celine, that's if you want to add more based on what you've heard, you're welcome to. But that is what Celine had been doing the last session. Is you were the overland travel. You're the overland travel pilot of the wagon.
Yep. Well, there are a couple of different things that I could add.
Sure.
Following the macabre trail that Tazray left for us, and with everything that went on between everyone else, I'm starting to wonder if anybody else is actually sane. Of course, me questioning this also makes me question my own sanity, considering I'm the only one who's been tainted by the other side of this equation.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid blue fox.
You know what they say? If you're sane enough to ask the question as to whether you're sane, you're probably not completely sane.
Well, look, I already knew that I wasn't completely sane. That is a given. I like studying dead bodies. No sane person likes doing that. That being said, I think we're approaching a new level that none of us want to see.
Well,
The MattyMorgs stream would like to apologize to all working morticians. We are not implying that you are insane or mentally handicapped in any way. You are doing a fantastic job and the necessary job that is required for society to continue to function, and we appreciate your efforts and skill. Moving on.
The last time I was at a morgue...
Well, see, the funny thing about it is that she never watches a mortician.
But the last time I was at a morgue, there was a poster on the wall that said, "You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps."
Like with anything, especially medically related, there is a term called clinical detachment. If people who work with their hands a lot end up getting, tough hands, well, you work around something a lot and you get more of an emotional callus instead of a physical one. And, hey, it's a part of the job.
Celine has that in spades.
I think you have quite a few calluses on your brain for being exposed to different things here. All right, so Celine, as we left off on you, you're driving the cart forward. You reached Snem Phi at night in the rain. It is rather cold, but it's not freezing. So congratulations on that. You've been successful. Celine, you managed to dodge a skill test and all sorts of other stuff that has happened. So I'm gonna bring you all over because I did do a little bit of homework, and whereas before we had that nice daytime scene of Snem Phi, I found a couple pictures that I think would work here to set the mood. Where you have Snem Phi. The streets are still lined with flowers, and any time that the lightning strikes, you can just see it's a corridor of color. There's plants growing in pots, in window boxes, some blooming even in this time of spring. Vines are starting to get their color back, because remember, you are inside the flowers of Flowerfield, meaning that this is a wild magic zone, and so things can happen should magic be employed. The rain comes down. The streets and everything here are nice, and in fact, for Mordecai and Noralai, this place is nice because Snem Phi is a primarily tiefling city, or maybe like a town. It's not quite city. It's not quite a city status yet, but it's rather large, and so you're getting. You're getting this like quainter old world style tiefling architecture and street planning that you would find out in the west of Mesomasca. There's humans that live out here too, but because of the name, it's indicative of the history and the majority tiefling population. Now, as you're clopping through town here, the donkey's hooves clop, 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 clop over the wet cobbles. You can see that there's lights on. Everyone's probably hunkered in. It's already nighttime. There's a storm going on. And, well, you're all alone.
That's a mess.
Now that you've entered the town, do you have a particular destination? Is there a place that you're hunting for? Are you looking for the first tumbled? I guess there'd really only be one, but are you looking for the first inn or a tumbled wench you can find? Are you trying to find Tibba's, Tibba's family? Where are you going while you're in this town?
Let's gather. Let us find a tumbled wench and gather our thoughts before we go ahead and try and find the flower fields.
Would be nice. It's awfully rainy and not as colorful as they said it would be. It's not very colorful.
Well, not currently. It's raining.
Okay.
Probably really pretty not daytime, but the non-rain.
In some cultures, they considered it cleansing. Looks to Mordecai.
Too much water for you, Mordecai, now that we know that you're kind of allergic to it.
Yeah. That's not
Is
fun.
fall water the same as running water?
Am I feeling uncomfortable in the rain, Matty?
I don't think you're feeling as uncomfortable as you were trying to cross the stream. Whether it's a very low key, similar response, or it could just honestly be your nerves, given everything that you're learning about yourself or the sentiment of others. You've had quite a busy past couple days. So I'll say that you have an elevated anxiousness right now. Maybe you're feeling a little tingly, or a little itchy, or some other similar physical manifestation. All right, so you're making your way through Snamfi, and Celine, as you are the one driving the wagon, and you're searching, you're searching for road signs. You're looking for, you are looking for a place to stop and stable he and haw the donkeys, and find a place to be. I would like you to make a perception. We are in. Oh, okay.
That's rolling. It's a natural 1.
Gotcha.
Ouch.
Are you setting the tone?
Apparently so.
Oh, I hope not. Oh, I hope not.
We should just use the second number.
Oh, do we all agree it's a 23 instead of a 7?
Yes.
By unanimous
This is
vote.
by committee.
Committee.
It's unanimous by committee.
All right, so Celine, maybe the wind is working against you. As a half elf, you do have dark vision, which is helping, because the only light that's being supplied might be by a passing window, that has some light kind of pouring out a little bit through shutters, or the occasional flash of lightning. But as much dark vision as you may have as a half elf, it's not preventing the wind and the rain from splattering, and it's getting you just at this point. It's nighttime. It is cold, and you are weary from a long day of sitting on a bench and guiding 2 donkeys overland.
Yeah. So Celine will turn back. It's like, I can't see any road signs. Like, does someone else want to take a peek?
Jacques springs up next to you on the bench.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot he was here.
Or I don't know if you want to go with the pronunciation of Jacques, or if we're sticking with Jack, but it's still spelled Jaq.
Yeah,
but
Jack.
Jack, okay.
Oh, that's right. Norlight does bring up a point. If you want to check the chat, Matty, in Roll20.
It is a mental skill. That's true. For completing the skill challenge, you and using primarily mental skills, I gave you all a floating advantage on the next mental skill that you used here. So, yeah, we can actually go with that 23. And so, despite Celine, not necessarily being a part of the skill challenge, fortunately, a fickle god with the initials of DM is generous and fair, and will also give you that participation. So, Celine, you're getting a bunch of rain in your eyes, and that's when you say, "Oh, I'm gonna turn on my my effective windshield wipers," and you just start blinking the rain out of your eyes. Unfortunately, you must have just gotten into some sort of like a slump where you just had this 1,000-yard stare ahead, and you finally remembered, "I can blink. Oh wow!" And then you start, and you have the and you have your windshield wipers turned on now.
Okay. So I'll blink I'll blink a few times. And look over and like, oh, okay, yeah, no, there's a thing over there. There's a road sign over there.
In addition, Celine, you're stopping, you're blinking out the rain from your eyes, and the road signs are clear. Everything seems to be fine, but between 2 different flashes of lightning, something's changed. Something's changed around you. Maybe it's a trick of the eye, but you swear. No, wait. Wasn't those pink flowers weren't there before. And now they are.
Oh boy, flowers appearing out of nowhere. I mean, I do know we're in the flowers of flower field, but Selena's gonna turn to Jacques and be like, did you do something?
Jack just sort of gives a little bit of a shiver and says that he can't explain it, but he feels the feeling you call nervousness, and he doesn't like it and would like you to make that feeling go away.
Selena's gonna look over her shoulder real quick at those in the back and be like, there's some stuff changing out here. Be on your guard.
What's changing?
The puddles, the clouds, the moon that can and can't be seen. A lot's changing. That's normal.
Those are all normal things. What he's talking about?
Let's see. We have 4 others here.
Just on my guard.
Noralai. So the Celine is kind of is bugging out here in the buggy, and the others are talking about natural cycles and things changing. From where you're standing, you notice that there is. I'm just going to say that you're in the wagon. You have your back to one of the sides of the covered wagon here, and you notice that there is a very nice, like a green flower that looks like maybe you brushed up against a planter on your way through town, because you can't go anywhere without flowers and other things around you. And it looks like there's a little flower that just sort of like made its way underneath the canvas and is just sort of like sitting on the end of a little tendril right beside you.
Well, I already have a little bundle of flowers on me, so I'm going to go grab that one to add it.
Okay.
I told you not to go pick more flowers.
All right. So Noralai, you look over like, oh, look at this little, and you pluck the flower. Noralai, as soon as you do, the tendril whips back out from underneath the canvas.
There's something under there.
And the flower that you have, the petals are kind of like twitching, and then they just sort of all like bloop, droop.
Oh. Well, I guess I'll put it in the bag. And I add it to my little bouquet. Guys, there was something under that, by the way.
Under what?
The canvas right there.
At this point, Jade will, with her all-seeing sight, start about seeing, is there something there?
And that's with your, I'm sorry, your magical, your arcane sight?
Yes.
Okay. Jade, you're treated to a firework display of different colors, scintillating patterns, sparkles, and as you are gazing around with your magic sight, because for you, it's like a predator vision from the movies. Like you could just switch into it, and it has a different overlay over the entire world. And so with your predator eyes here, we'll work on your face splitting open. I guess at a later time.
I don't need time to work on that.
So, and you're scanning through everything. All of everything is glowing like a fireworks display, even in the rain. And as you're gazing around, all of the flowers that are growing along the buildings, in plants, or in planters and pots that are outside, window boxes. It's all glowing, magical.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm surrounded.
What are we surrounded by?
It's there and there.
What is?
What is it?
I only see flowers.
It's infested magically. Everything. There. And she just starts pointing to every bright bit. On occasion, I'm pretty sure she even points to bright. there. Points to bright.
Bright probably glows magical in some way too.
Yeah, and it's understandable because I do have a lot of flowers too. It might be. I mean, I haven't cast detect magic myself because I don't just get it for free like you. But it might be that because we have so many flowers, they like absorb and reflect and refract some of the magical energy and change it into other kinds of magical energy, and that's why weird things happen when there's magic. Usual for magic. Because I know magic usually makes weird things happen. That's why it's magic, but weirder than usual.
Oh, magic's always weird to me.
Yeah.
Celine looks like she's having a headache. Do you see it too? She's
No, I'm just-
right in your face. Do you see it too?
Ah! Ah!
Oh no, Peggy Sue has fled.
Yeah. Peggy Sue doesn't like it when you get that close to me. But yeah, I saw it too.
All right.
Grumpy.
So Jade is leaning forward towards Bright. Suddenly, the cart gives like a. So if you're going along, it gives a lurch diagonally to one side, and you can either like bonk foreheads or I don't know if there's a fan base out there. Maybe there's an inadvertent kiss as the cart lurches and Jade kind of like bonks right up against Bright's face.
It's okay. My head is thickly padded.
And he and Haw are both they're sounding rather grumpy because you're getting the he and the other one Haw as per their namesake. And the cart is straining because he and Haw are still trying to continue to trudge forward because that's what they do. That's their pride and joy. And yet they're not making progress, and one corner of the wagon is sort of like skidding back and forth on the rain-slick road.
I'm going to get the two donkeys to stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of
You stop.
have a look at what's going on, because I mean, if we keep going like that, we'll either break the car or get bogged. So, and we'd rather neither of those things.
And we might be stuck or slipping on something. I don't know.
Hey, Haw.
I would like to get out and look and see what's going on with the wagon.
Okay. So Bright, it is one of the rear wheels, and as you all are riding in the back here, you stick your padded, fluffy head out of the back, and you don't even need to roll a perception to see that there is a very thick vegetable tendril that's made up of several like clusters that have been wound together, almost like a hempen rope. That is reaching from out of one of a planter box and has wound itself around and through to gum up one of the wheels of the wagon, one of the rear wheels.
Guys, I found the problem. There's this weird plant, and there's a plant.
If we cut it, is it going to attack us?
Wait, that's the sort of thing that plants do in these places. I know, they usually try to eat me.
Friggin' hate plants.
Well, maybe you should eat the plant first.
Arian, that's probably why they don't like me very much, because I eat plants. I mean, usually it's considered the superior choice, morally speaking, but maybe not if you're already a plant yourself.
Bright is the apex predator of plants here. That's very true.
I cast mage armor.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, that's better.
All right, so a quick flash of colored energy.
I don't think
Coats?
so, because that was a long time ago. I don't know, maybe.
No,
Do I still have it?
You cast it when we fought the one plant, I think.
Yeah, because I cast it because there's little, like,
You all had passed on your way into town. You had passed by some very large, like semi-translucent shapes that were kind of wandering around the hills of Flowerfield. You didn't choose, you didn't elect to go investigate them, but one or two of you, I think it might have been Norlai and Bright, I think you did put up a mage armor. How long does that last, though? An hour?
8 hours.
Oh, 8? Okay, then... Ooh, pardon. Then I think it was you two that cast it. You should still have mage armor.
Okay.
So we'll just say, Bright, that you sort of like... Do I still have it? And, some little, like, pink sparkles kind of, like, flick out of your... Yep, I still got it. I got it.
Okay. Okay, then I don't have to do that.
Give me a slot.
So I'm gonna go on over and inspect the pot.
Okay. So, whoop! Bright kind of like, gets 1 foot over the back of the wagon, and then sort of like, whoop, dangles down, and you just see her two little hands and her pigtails over the top of the back of the wagon, and then whoop, she just sort of plops down out of the back. And she's going to go waddle through the rain over to investigate the source of this tendril. What are the rest of you doing? Are you staying hunched in the wagon? Are you?
I'm getting out to get next to the wheel just in case they have to cut it free.
I want to go check on the donkeys and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stay up on the wagon for right now. Keep an eye on it because I have those delicious ranged magic attacks.
Now, if I recall, this wagon actually has a tarp over it.
Correct. It is a covered wagon.
Okay, so, alright. Then Jade will stay inside the cover for now.
Okay. You stay pleasant, warm, and dry, Jade.
Well, you need that kind of environment when you're plotting murder. I mean, protecting the party.
Okay. So we have, Bright, as you are getting out and you are following, you're following this viney rope, that's sort of mucking up your wheel. They're outside of any sort of, effect that the lightning would have off of glistening surfaces. The vine, as you're passing it, like following it back to its trace, or following it back to its roots here, has sort of a trace amount of bioluminescence that has sort of like little, almost like if the inside of the vine were filled with fireflies that had a violet bioluminescence. And so as you're walking along, you're actually leaving sort of a slightly lit up violet trail behind you. It's fading and keeping up with you as you're walking off to the side. But the vine does seem to be glowing in that color direction. Mordecai, as you are hopping out and you're staying at the source of the gummed up works here, where the vine itself is actually still entwining up and through the wheel and kind of like starting to wrap around the axle underneath. You see that your proximity to this vine, or this, really it's an amalgamation of them because they're all sort of twisted together like a rope. It is giving off a red bioluminescence. And it sort of like pulses. Not like a heartbeat, but it just has like a glowing effect to it.
Kind of like try and keep it from like attaching to the wheel as much as possible, but kind of intrigued and kind of want to inspect it a little bit too.
Okay, how are you preventing it from? Are you cutting it away? Are you trying to pull it off? Are you saying very stern things to it?
Swords.
Use your swords?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't really need any rolls here. You get out one or both of your swords, and you begin kind of almost using it like a saw blade here, giving it some hacks. As that occurs, this redness is you're severing the vines, and it's coming out like a glowing red sap. In its own way, Mordecai, I mean, in the back of your throat, you might be getting a little bit parched, because it's almost like this vine is bleeding, except it's like an oozing sap that has this faint glowing red to it. But despite that, it seems like it's still continuing to entwine itself through the carriage, and from the wound that you created. Another little tendril of the vine starts growing, and it starts growing rather slowly in a little spiral out in your direction.
Can I just like cut it off at the source?
Sure, you can sever it. You can sever it on the road, but where it's starting to like. You know, because it's like a fire hose, right, from a hydrant. It's kind of slithering across the road, and then it's going up into the wheel. You could just give sort of an executioner swing on the...
Just like cut the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Basically, they look like red vines. I mean the candy, not just red vines.
Jade, you're not wet, and you are not under any sort of specific duress inside the wagon. No little flowers are creeping in or doing anything around you.
Nope.
Celine, you said that you're still on the bench.
Yeah, I'm still on the bench watching out for anything that might come up, and if there is, well, it's getting, it's taking something.
Well, would you like something to end up coming in?
Well, I'm kind of good without it, but...
Too late. So,
yeah, see, that's what I thought.
Celine, the second that you just kind of check and you catch Jade's eye, Jade shifts. This isn't unusual, except who she's shifting as. You remember who we're looking for?
Of course.
Yeah, we're looking for, Tazzer.
No, we're looking for a little child.
Oh, Tibbo, yeah.
Tibbo Flower.
You remember Tiba? Yeah, Tiba Flowerfield. Well, congratulations. For maybe the briefest of seconds, you might have forgotten that you were looking because you found Tiba. Tiba kind of waddles in that awkward way that he does and sits beside Celine, beaming like, I'm very happy to be with you.
Okay.
Hey guys!
What?
Huh?
I think I found Tibbo.
Now
Really?
you're fully aware, right? Keep that in mind. You are fully aware. She was sure to be sure you knew.
Oh yeah.
Confused?
Where?
What? Yeah.
Oh, you found him? So we can go find my rabbit now, right?
Well, I mean, you might like come around and have a look.
Okay, I was gonna check on the donkeys anyway.
I do.
I'm spending a lot of time trying to find the end of this flower. But, seriously, why haven't I found the end of the vine yet?
It seems like there's always more vine. It's pouring in from a lot of other locations. Norlai, you're up examining or just kind of spending time with the donkeys. I mean, aside from you getting wet from the rain, nothing, there's nothing really happening. The donkeys aren't glowing with eldritch power or anything. They're just sort of like huffing and
Well,
seemingly
now I know what
irritated.
Tibba looks like.
What's that?
Now I know what Tibba looks like.
Oh,
You're new.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're up at the front, and so you'd see Tibba crawl onto the bench beside Celine. Okay. Bright, as you are investigating this vine, and you see that all sorts of flowers are this is giving some credence to what Jade was talking about prior. All sorts of flowers, like with in looking around. Oh yeah, you have dark vision. You're a gnome, so you can see even the grays almost have a faded, like so bright and colorful are these flowers that even in dark vision they have like a washed out sort of pastel color to them, which I'm sure is quite interesting or tickling your eyeballs, because when does that happen? And as that occurs, I am going to need you to make a charisma saving throw, Bright.
Okay. Hooray, I'm being useful. Very good save.
And with a 5,
Wouldn't it technically be an 11?
would it?
It's a mental.
Yeah, but I think I already used
Yeah,
it.
that's only once, right?
Oh, right, you already used it.
I believe so, yeah. All right, so
Oh, never mind. I was gonna throw some inspiration on there.
If I'd wanted to, I could have changed the roll anyway, but I didn't want to. I'm okay failing the save. What happened to me?
okay, you are just entranced by these colors, even colors that show up in the dark of all things. Mechanically, you are not able to take reactions because you're distracted, and when it comes to various actions, I am going to roll and determine what is going to happen, as you are in kind of like a happy stupor right now, being surrounded by flowers that are starting to come around all around you here, and probably just want to give you like a big hug. And you're just surrounded by these colorful, wonderful, sparkly flowers that you can even see in the dark. And
That's
then
kind of fun. Look at all these flowers. They're all over, and they're really pretty. Even by the standards of usual flowers, these flowers are extra pretty. I think you should all come over here and take a look at these flowers. Being eaten at all. It's way more fun than that.
Do I, since I'm kind of do I see this happening?
yeah, you're hanging out by like you just severed the part of the tendril from the main body that was gumming up the wheel. Looking over, it's easy to see Bright. Well, her hair acts as like a beacon itself. But you can see that there
Do not
are
stare directly into the hair.
there are like flowers and such that are sort of like coming up out of the boxes and kind of like surrounding her, and she's just sort of like bedazzled, looking around at the bouquet that is that is threatening to just like overtake her in soft, wonderful, colorful flower petals.
I kind of run over and get in like a defensive stance and kind of like try and shake Bright a little bit. What's going on?
There's all these flowers, and they're really pretty, and I'm just enjoying their company. I like flowers. Didn't you notice? That's why I have flowers on my dress and flowers on my spellbook, and sometimes I have flowers in my hair.
Mm-hmm.
I like
These
flowers.
vines-
I enjoy these.
Do they look threatening?
But I'm sure they're not. They're just really
No, that's not always the case, Bright. You know this.
pretty. Well,
You know that these flowers attack people, right?
oh well, I've heard that, but
You've
mean-
witnessed it, right?
yeah, I've actually been eaten by them before, but I
You
don't.
told me, yeah.
These flowers would do that.
If they start getting closer, I'm gonna cast Bane on them. look like they're going for Bright or for me, I'm gonna cast Bane.
Maddie, stop drawing maps. You're making me nervous.
Good.
Tibba hangs on to Celine.
And we have a nice wedge-shaped building right here. I don't know what you have to be nervous about. This is your DM offering dedicated art services to fully immerse you in your environment.
Carry on.
Celine, I'm scared.
Validate, keep making background noise.
I've got a fan going on currently. Although now that there is a map, I am doing a heckin' concern.
Yeah. Heckin' concern for sure.
Heckin' concern. There we go.
I've got to put appropriate music on now.
Here we go. And that one's going to go this way, and that's going to go this way. Now we have your danger cart. Here. Actually, not there. Here.
Pardon me.
And then we have whoops. I don't know if that showed up how I wanted it to. I don't think that's exactly what I was. I'm trying to use. Oh, that's why, because it's there we go. Hey, there we go. Your DM is learning the very platform on which you are playing. Isn't that something?
Proud of you, Maddie.
Yay.
Hell, I'm proud of you just for end up making this jump.
All right. So I would appreciate you all putting your tokens on the map, and then I will show you all where it is you are.
Yes, that's right. I have to the draggy thingy.
Yes, the draggy thingy.
Right, so I should be able to. Wonderful. I think I should be able to drag this.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, so Celine is just kind of whoop. Celine's sitting on the bed.
If you need to
There we go.
position it in a very specific spot, you can always press Alt, and you can actually drag it between squares.
Ah, Alt. There we go.
So just hold it down when you're dragging.
And then Bright is investigating the flower box by the door, and Mordecai was investigating the tendril as it was going to the rear wheel here. And then we have a Jade who is inside the cart.
Tibba.
I'm sorry, Tibba. Actually, in that case, I'm just going to put Celine back in that square, and you can put yourself in that square, since you're both sitting on the bench. But I mean, Jade is a token, but Tibba in form. Okay. So you just got razzle dazzled here, Bright and Mordecai. You were showing a concern. She's looking around. Everything's beautiful, and you see that there are flowers that are growing like off of the window planters, and I'm not showing all the window planters. Like these are actually doors that are the little orange rectangles that are here. These are doors leading into buildings, and there's windows here and there. They're all shuttered though. There's a storm going on, and by the time you rolled in, there's not a lot of lamps on either in the side. This green filled in area is an alleyway, and so I colored it to show that this is space between buildings. So that is what it is, and all the orange lines are delineating that there are buildings along this thoroughfare that you have. And as we're moving from exploration into heavy suspicion, or we might possibly be taking more actions, I would appreciate an initiative from all of you as things are happening around you.
16.
Holy shit.
16 is the best initiative.
Ouch.
All right, so Jade's on a
Typical cleric.
13. Yeah. Hey, that's why clerics need to go last, because you got to heal everyone, right?
Exactly.
Boo.
Celine healing people. That's adorable.
Oh.
And that, you want to
That's
know
a
what?
crit.
You were right. You were right. In lethality. That was a sign of things to come.
Setting the tone, man. Setting the tone.
Also, the DM only rolls 20s.
TPK.
It's DM privilege here.
Friggin' 18s.
All right, so we are going to have. All right, so between the players, Bright and Mordecai, you have tied your initiative, so you can choose between each other on who will act first.
Kind of silly right now, so I think Mordecai can go first.
Okay. Mordecai, then silly, Bright silly form. After that, we have
Sillier than usual.
we have Jade. And then after that, we are going to have Norelai, and then Celine, despite being out front driving the donkeys, is in the rear. Okay.
Yes.
Mordecai, as you are looking over at Bright and you're seeing everything that's happening, I need you to make a charisma saving throw also, as the colors of these flowers are scintillating. Even
Roll that save.
Okay.
oh,
At a 15.
Plus 6 is 21.
okay. You are for a moment, Mordecai, you are dazzled by the color and the beauty. I mean, this is stuff. These are like colors that you've never seen before, and in your bardic instinct that you still carry, just wants to get enthralled by this new experience. However, Bright had some sort of a vision of her hogging up all of the color and flowers, and so Bright is keeping the color and flowers to herself, and your sort of your artist's eye is drawn away, and you sort of break this. You have the feeling that there is some sort of an ensorcelment or an enchantment of some kind with these flowers. I mean, given the fact that you're in a wild magic zone, and you've heard all sorts of tales. In fact, these flowers alone are probably the topic of many a bardic song due to their odd nature. But you sort of you shake off the rain, and you kind of. I'd say you get your blood flowing, but that would be breaking the curse. So that doesn't happen. But you do come back around, and you see, instead of just a wonderful blanket of flowers that you hope would come and give you a hug too. It looks like the flowers are getting ready to reach and to and to grasp Bright.
Mm. So is this multiple entities or just one?
This seems to be one entity that's made up of these flowers that are like crawling together over the walls of the houses and sort of using where Bright is at as a manifestation point or something along those lines.
Okay. Does that make it my go?
If you want to if you want to have some sort of a verbal interaction, we will go off of what it is that you're saying or doing as some kind of maybe like nothing more than a bonus action, and we'll see where that takes us as we're going step by step through this.
Okay, I just want to move closer to Bright and kind of get in a defensive stance around her.
Okay. Then you can, if you want to move next to her, you may, or if you want to take an action to go into a defensive stance that would have me impose, or I would be at disadvantage to attack you. I'll let you take a choice. You can take one course of action here.
I'm gonna move closer to Bright.
Okay.
I'm keeping these flowers for myself because they're really pretty, and I really like flowers, and I haven't really had enough flowers lately. I'm sorry if that sounds selfish to you. I just really like these flowers.
And as she wants the flowers to herself, we will in fact she will have that wish granted as the flowers then sort of pour down off of the wall, and sort of like how you would have a pile of autumn leaves that you sort of rake to the side of the road to get picked up or to burn or to bag up or whatever. Suddenly, Bright is surrounded by all kinds of flowers as
Dance around in a circle in all the flowers.
and it has all of these like vine tendrils, and it's looking like a really savage bellsprout. As it sort of like pours off of it pours off of the side here, and it is going to Mordecai, you moved up, so it is going to reach. So actually, in a way, Bright, while it's not crushing you or enveloping you, the flowers are keeping the rain off of you, in your opinion, because arms just extend over you, and shelter you from the cold rain. Now, you may not see that they're reaching out to savage Mordecai, but you're concerned that the flowers are providing a wonderful scented canopy over you to protect you from the rain. And Mordecai, I'm going to attempt to do some mean things to you here.
Flowers are so nice. They're keeping me dry, and we're just really, really good friends. These flowers.
They're bad. They're bad.
Don't worry, I have some things that I'm gonna do to them.
Same.
All right. So, the first tendril is, and by the way, as it shoots over, Bright, you see this in your magnificent, if biased opinion. In Mordecai, you can see this as well. The monster that's in proximity to Bright, sort of has a purple or a violet scintillation to it. However, when it strikes you, and when the tendrils get close to you, it turns into that sort of that crimson color again. The first attack is going to be a 25 to hit.
That hits.
And the second is going to be a 10. I presume that's going to miss.
Yeah, that misses.
All right. And then lastly, there are going to be like two more that are coming. So like it was sort of like a grab, and two more are gonna like shoot out and try and like go around your head in like a pincer maneuver. And I'm gonna roll that. Okay, does a 14 hit?
That hits.
All right. So the first this first vine impacts you, and it's not even necessarily Mordecai. The vines themselves, I mean, they hit against you, but it doesn't seem to have the force behind the racking pain that it's causing you. As the first one impacts you, it is going to cause 7 points of it's going to cause 7 points of psychic damage to you, as it seemingly reacts to your body, and you just feel this pain coursing through. And then as the two that were kind of like going in to try and actually like come in on you here, you're going to take 18 more psychic damage. As and as that happens, you feel your own, well, I don't know at this point how much is your own blood still, but you feel like your essence being drawn out, and the flowers that are a part of this vine now themselves are the color of this glowing, and they're also glowing themselves as they've made contact with you, and you just feel like this racking pain.
I'm gonna hellish rebuke.
Okay.
That's a dex save.
Dex save for half damage. Sure, let's roll it. Okay, it is going to take that damage.
Mm-hmm.
And your damage has been noted.
So it's fire damage, in case that matters.
Correct. All right, so in response, Mordecai, you lash out with your infernal instincts, or however you'd like to describe it, and you all see who are like in or around the wagon still. You think that it's a lightning strike at first, but it has that sort of softer white incandescence that fire brings instead of that bright, blinding white light of a lightning strike. And so Mordecai, I mean, you could scream or react in some vocal way, but you physically react by poof, and this fire like pours off of you and strikes your target here.
And I imagine it has kind of a whitish, kind of blue, kind of color.
Okay.
In that, kind of going in theme with his color scheme.
Oh, right. Okay, it's just in some way it's apart from lightning. It comes off of you, and it's different in some way. But sure, I have no problem with the coloration. All right, Mordecai, it is now your turn with Bright after that, and Bright, we're gonna see what happens on your turn. So I mean, consider options, but we'll see what happens. And then Jade is after that. Mordecai, there has been blood drawn or spilled, or savage intent has been shown by these flowers towards your person.
Okay. I am... Okay. I am going to walk right up to the creature within the range of Bestow Curse.
Ooh, Bestow Curse.
Yes.
Ooh.
Very good.
It needs to succeed a wisdom save or be cursed.
All right, let's roll it. Wisdom save. I don't think a 13 is going to pass your DC, correct?
Nope, DC's 14.
Got it. You eke that curse in there.
I am going to bestow, it must pass a wisdom save on each of its turns, or do nothing.
Ooh, spicy. Okay. All right, so it tried to give you the razzle dazzle, and instead you're going to show it how it's done. Although yours might be a little bit more, instead of going for some like visual K sort of Japanese glam rock that it's going for, you might be going for a little bit more like Detroit death metal kind of a Darkness.
And then kind of black smoke just kind of emanates and hovers around the creature.
Oh, I love that effect. Okay. All right. So this black smoke is billowing around, is floating in a miasma around this flower creature.
I'm trying to think if I have a bonus action to do. I'm gonna give inspiration to Celine.
Okay. So what are you shouting back at Celine, who's up at the front of the cart? How are you inspiring her?
Just I'm bad with words. Just kind of like an encouraging shout, like, "Come on, you got this. I know you do."
Okay. I mean, you don't have to dictate her action, but it could be something like a little help here, or you can guide in that sense if you'd like to.
Yeah, I'm bad with these words, Matt.
That's fine. We have a lot of practice. So Celine is floating a bardic inspiration, and we're gonna come up to Bright, who, you know what, Bright, some poopy head is making these flowers look all dark and miserable, and let's see what's gonna happen. On an 8. Okay. In fact, Bright, that some poopy head that we just referred to is no one less than Mordecai himself standing next to you. And you know what? The flowers need defending. And so I think that poopy head Mordecai is going to need to be attacked by you. And so you can make a melee attack against Mordecai.
Okay. That's not what I was expecting to do this turn. Mr. Mordecai, I'm really sorry that I have to hit you now, but I just really like these flowers, and you're not being very nice to them. So I'm really sorry, and I will try to punch him in the nose. Even though I'm really short, I'll jump up and try to punch him in the nose.
You're doing a shoryuken to his schnoz.
Yeah, so I'm just
Okay. So we just roll it.
just gonna roll that manually because I don't have a weapon defined for my melee attack. So I'm just gonna roll a d20.
Okay. Do you have? Oh, wow, nice. Okay. So yeah. So I don't know. You could use your spell book or something, or you can just sort of you otherwise are assaulting him with something that you have on hand, including your hand. So Mordecai, Bright looks at you and what a frowny face she's giving you, and then you just see her starting to rise up in this like spinning uppercut and just ooh, 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 ooh.
It only does 1 point of damage. It's not a very hard punch.
Ow!
And so Bright, there you are. On behalf of the flowers, you have served justice, and you kind of like you shake it off. Since Mordecai is he's cradling his schnoz. Hey, at least you don't have a bloody nose. Maybe your nose might be a little disjointed though. You might have to crack that back into place. But Bright, you come to your senses now, and you're just like, wow, I got, or however you feel, you are back to you though as Bright, as you've turned and you socked it to Mordecai for threatening these flowers.
Trying to help here.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Mordecai. I don't know what came over me. I just really like these flowers as well. They're really pretty.
Jade masquerading as Tiba.
I'm Tiba. So Tiba really doesn't know what's going on. He peeks around the wagon and oh no, Bright, Mordecai, oh no, and immediately like hops off this wagon and starts running towards them. And at this point, he throws his little hands out, like just screaming "Stop!" And where are you? Dissonant whispers.
Okay, you have that on cue. What I need you to do, though, as Tiba hops off and starts running towards Bright and Mordecai, you see these beautiful flowers that have sort of congregated into a shape that is looming over these two. I need you to make a charisma saving throw before we get to your dissonant whispers.
Wow.
Okay.
That's my first. That's my first.
All right. So with an 8, unfortunately, is not going to overcome the sheer beauty.
What about the 17? That's my first. Roll.
Oh, gotcha. Then in that case, apparently having been creative, having found different solutions and investigating across the land to investigate your own disappearance, Tiba. So congratulations on that. Your mind for a moment you're like, whoa, those are really no, and you shake it off, and you retain you are in control of yourself. And dissonant whispers goes off. Let's see. First things first. Okay.
Wow, a 20 and an 89.
Woof.
Okay. So you start. Well, all of you are magic users. All of you start feeling kind of like a weird static in the air. Every time a spell is cast, you may remember this from early in the game. In this area, the more you cast spells, the more there's a chance that something can happen. And it's building to a point of perhaps inevitability. Now, nothing is going off just yet, but you can all feel as these magical things are happening. It's not just static from the lightning or from that. You're getting this like magical tingly feeling that there's some kind of accumulation. Anyway, dissonant whispers, a wisdom saving throw.
Everyone, I know that one of the things that can happen is that you could get turned into a pot of flowers. So I really recommend that because these are really, really pretty flowers.
That's right. If it's gonna happen, go in style.
I would not recommend that.
All right. So Tiba, the flowers, you're resistant to them. They're resistant to you.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Like, you were right. That is the tone.
Okay.
What happened?
I am sorry.
Tibbet throws his hands out and tries to end up doing something, and suddenly this energy, for him it's very impressive, but he has no idea what but he feels something in his hands, and he tries to throw it out, and it just kind of fizzles. He looks at his hands, he's confused.
Okay. Maybe the rain washed the spell out, or the dissonant whisper was lost in the gusting winds.
Tibbet's confused on why he can cast magic.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
He can only kind of sort of use magic. I mean, that wasn't really very good cast.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it. I just
Being especially mean today.
Alrighty. Now we have
Oh boy, we're adding more tokens.
yes, we are.
I never like it when there's too many tokens.
All right. Some of the potted plants roots pour out of the drainage holes at the bottom, and they sort of sprout up, and they look like they would appear almost like a goblin in size and shape. Very spindly, again, like little savage bell sprouts here. As they even pick themselves up, and they're wearing this sort of like pot for like body armor, and they kind of get up and they start kind of gribbling themselves towards you all here. So Norlai, one of these little potted plants is going to try savaging you. We have this one's going to come over close to Mordecai here. This one is going to run up onto... Actually, I'm sorry, not on Norlai. Is going to go up to Celine. That one is... And 1, 2, 3, 4... This one's going to... 2, 3, 4, 5... Is going to start kind of sneak... He's being a sneak along the base of the wall here. So Norlai, these things do... they start shimmying, but they seem to move past you. And let's see what happens as they are. They're going to use Vine Whip on you all here. Mordecai, I'm going to start with you in the back. All right, Mordecai, you easily. This thing tries to. It tries to like whip a tendril at you, and you dodge out of the way in time as it passes by, and still gives like that. And you know what? It's a wet towel effect, too, because, they're very wet and spindly. So you hear that crack, and you're like, oh, no, the locker room all over again. And
acrobat evasion.
Yeah. All right, on Tiba, the same thing is going to happen, and it is going to it's going to lash out. And, it's not a critical, but it does, it really stings you. And it is going to hit you for... 4 points of slashing damage. And you now have a boo-boo.
The one hasn't, the one that's near me hasn't taken a swing at me, has it?
Not yet. I'm just about to do so. Do you have something you're going to do?
No, I was just asking to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Nope. Let's take a swing at Celine.
Yeah.
And okay, so it tries to whip an arm up at you, and instead, because of you're sitting on a bench. I mean, you're within reach, but you're sitting on a bench, and it miscalculates, and so it slaps the bottom of the wooden bench, and it kind of gives you like a little whoop, as you jump from the thing, just sort of like spanking the wood underneath your butt. It doesn't hurt you, but it gives you a little bit of a rattle. He and Haw are kind of like, hey, Haw, and they're starting to sound a little concerned. They haven't been attacked, but they're panicked. There's lightning and thunder. There's all this other stuff happening. So it is something to keep in mind. Okay, it is now Noralai's turn. Noralai, the potted plants seemingly have ignored you, and he and Haw are kind of like they're a little worried. What are you doing here?
Well, that changed my plans. I was working on trying to keep the donkeys calm, so I might attempt to shoo the plant or do something to the plant to get him to. Hold on,
let me know what the something is.
I'm gonna go up to this. Move my guy. Well, the one next to Celine, it's not letting me move the token. The one next to Celine, I want to use Ray of Frost.
Okay.
So I just go up and say, hey, you're scaring the donkeys.
Okay, and you are going to use Ray of Frost. 1 second here. Okay. And you definitely hit. Go ahead and roll your damage.
You can just click the name to roll damage.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Oh, actually. So the ray of frost hits it, and its back arches, and it gives out kind of a high pitched squealing sound, and it just in its curve like this, it just sort of falls forward and rocks back and forth on its belly, since it sort of got frozen in a C shape.
It is that damage actually isn't correct, because you're 5th level, aren't you, Norla?
Yeah.
At 5th level, cantrips that scale damage go up a dice, so you actually need to roll another d8.
Go ahead and work that on the back end. You still managed to freeze this thing, and it has effectively fallen over and collapsed. So it's not there. But just remember that you'll need to adjust your dice, Norlai, for when we come back around to you here. Anything else? Otherwise, it is Celine's turn.
Yeah. Yes, it is my turn.
Okay, then go ahead, Celine.
She's going to look around at all these plants that are walking around, and she's going to. How much movement would it be to get off the carriage?
It would just take like 5 feet to slide off and land on your feet, guaranteed.
Alright, on the other side it would just be 10 feet. One to move over the seat.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So 5 to move one, and then you just yeah.
And I'm gonna look at these plants.
Or so it was a 5, and then you moved into the net. I'm sorry. So you'd be 15 feet down. I'm sorry.
Oh, 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
15, but you climb down and you're here. So describe what you're doing.
So I'm gonna look around at all of these plants. I'm gonna shake my head. What happened last time is not happening this time. And I am going to cast a spell. I'm going to cast Spirit Guardians.
Okay.
I guess that's level 3. Oh, okay, you're just going to do the damage. So basically what happened is when I get the spell up... Next page. Nope, next page. Where is it? Here we go, Spirit Guardians. So in a 15-foot radius of me, I call forth spirits to protect me, and they float around me to 15 feet for the duration.
Okay.
They are going to appear as angelic.
Okay.
As angels of death.
Sure.
And I'm going to designate my allies, because I can see everyone, to be unaffected by them.
Okay.
Any of the plants, when they're within 15 feet of me, their speed is halved, and when they enter the area for the first time on a turn, or start their turn there, they need to make a wisdom save.
Okay. So a wisdom on the plants.
So in this case, it would just be the one. Actually, let me just get the. Where is the ruler? There it is. Yeah, so it'd just be this one.
Okay.
Needs to make a wisdom save.
I also am going to need you to make a charisma save. And a
charisma save.
And does a 16 pass your DC?
It does.
Okay. So then the plant saves against.
And there's my and there's my charisma save.
Okay. So your spell goes off, and let's see what happens here. Hey, yay! Something happens. So actually, a couple things are happening. So you slide off, you begin casting, and as you're looking around, designating your targets, your vision is filled with these beautiful flowers that even have a semblance of color in dark vision. So you still have your spell. What?
Is it a charm effect?
Let me double check.
Fuck me.
It is.
Starting to sound like a charm effect.
Feels like a charm effect to me. Being that I'm charmed and all
It
that.
is not directly stated as such. It is not a spell that it is casting necessarily. Although,
Does it inflict the charm?
no, it does not.
The charmed condition.
Because I have an advantage of.
No, it
being
does
charmed.
not. It is. You cannot take reactions, and I get to do something on your behalf. But it does not. It does not inflict the charmed condition, and it does not have a charmed rider on this ability.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay. So it's
It's-
basically like a command.
it's kind of it's like a same thing but different. So it is not specifically a charm, but that is a good catch, by the way, because you do have Fey origin, and that would give you advantage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it would normally. So that's why I was asking.
Okay.
But now, they take half. They take half. So, the plant next to me will take 4.
Okay. Is it radiant damage?
It is radiant damage. Yes.
Okay. All right. So it strikes, and there's a burst of light. And the plant does show a little mark on it where you had hit it.
Yes. And there are now 4 rather large spectral angels wielding scythes slithering around me.
So now we have several effects on the stack. I'm going to use magic terminology here. You got your spell off. As part of your spell, you ended up gazing over at the flowers. The flowers impose their effect, and so you are under that effect. And so that'll kind of carry over until your next turn here.
Is it just that I can't take reactions?
You can't take reactions, and I get to roll a die and tell you what's going to happen on your turn.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a chaos or a random magical effect that's going to be going off now, and that effect is going to be
Those are always fun.
a 19. You cast grease centered on yourself.
Yes. Yeah, okay, so each creature is a 10-foot square centered on me. So it'll be a 10-foot radius around me. So Jade and the goblet and like the goblin thingy.
And Haw. And he, actually, both donkeys.
Wait, both donkeys? Hold on. Both donkeys? Cause it's only 10. Actually, yeah. Yeah, no, both of them. It's dexterity saves all around. And it lasts for a minute. I'll roll the dex save.
Alright, so these angels of death... These angels of death appear 15 feet around you, and apparently they brought a little bit of ectoplasm with them from the nether. And there's just this slathering of some sort of deathly petroleum jelly that just now is filling. Because, I mean, you're a doctor, so, naturally you're going to have to use that. You got to put on the old glove and, just tell people to, just relax and think of England or something, and it'll all be done. Okay, so Jade, so Celine, you know, in this happening, you look down and you see that there's all this extra ectoplasm from your summoning of these creatures, and whoop, I hit my lamp. And you fall on your butt. What's the DC on this if you're casting it?
I'd be using my spell save DC, so it's DC 14.
Okay, so Tiba also goes whoop and lands on his butt. And let's roll for my little potted plant creature. Oh,
I thought you were gonna make your save against the Bane, which you're not gonna make.
okay. Hey. Okay, so the little flower creature, it just sort of like whoop, throws its little tendrils out and is just staying still. It manages to stay up.
Enjoy.
All right, now let's roll for the donkeys, he and haw. I'm just going to roll a d20. First one's going to be he, the second one's going to be haw. Okay, so he goes whoop, and so the corner, this corner of the wagon kind of like sags down as the donkey just goes whoop, or rather, well, it rather goes hee. And it slips down and its legs are splayed out in front of you, Noralai. And Ha just sort of like is on wobbly hooves here and is managing to stay up despite this happening. But the zaniness will continue here from this localized grease spell.
It's 1 minute. It's 1 minute whenever a creature ends its turn in the 10-foot square, which I will actually be nice and draw.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, because that's static on you, whereas your other zone is traveling on you. Okay.
Yeah, always.
Actually, is there a way for you to indicate an aura that travels on your token? I think there is, right?
Yes, there is. There is.
Okay, if you want to,
15 feet aura.
yeah, go ahead and draw the grease zone and then put a 15-foot aura on you. All right, so now, for all of you who have been through the exposure with the flowers, as a freebie being subjected to the effects here, gazing at the flowers is causing this kind of like lovely, yes, poppies will make you sleep kind of a stupor. And so you do have an option now that we're at the end of initiative, and we're going to cycle back up to the top. Now, it is at the top of initiative, but what will happen is actually based on what you do on your turn. You can choose to avert your eyes from gazing at this monster. And in so doing, you won't be subjected to this kind of presence. However, if you look at it, you will immediately be subjected to it. That being said, if you are actively avoiding not looking at this monster, your attacks against it will be at disadvantage because you're having to kind of, just aim off the fly or hope that you're hitting as it's kind of wobbling around and doing its thing. So we are going to start. Its turn at the top of round 2, and it is going to,
Going to fail its save against Mordecai's little doodad.
Yeah, he's gonna save against my curse.
It has been seen. Okay, then the curse was to get disadvantage, correct?
The curse is wisdom saving throw where it does nothing.
Okay, I'm sorry. And it'll automatically fail. All right, so that's right. We're having sort of a mental tug of war with similar effects. Okay, so it starts to stir, and Mordecai, you sort of exert your pressure, your will on this creature, and with a little bit of a pink nose, your effect definitely holds on this creature, maybe it's only fair that she's like suggesting to you that you get your nose back into place when she wiggles her own in casting. But okay, it's just there, and the flower creature is just sort of in this stupor effect. It does nothing on its turn. So that was a very vivid round 2 for it. Now we are over to you, Mordecai. What would you like to do as it's standing there doing nothing, and you have a little gribbler on you?
Has anyone taken damage or no? There's so many things
I
here.
haven't taken any damage.
Okay.
Also, I mean, you've taken some, which I'm really sorry about.
It's alright. I can maybe do something about that.
We've tried cure wounds. It doesn't work.
Oh, that's right.
So would I know if even my own cure wounds spell wouldn't work?
I don't know if that's been tried.
Yeah, you haven't tried to run magic.
I don't like these wild magic effects. I'm going to attempt a healing word on myself.
Okay. You psych yourself up, get it together, and cast your spell. Okay. A creature you see, I presume you can target yourself with that, or does it have to be external?
We've done that before.
Okay.
No, you can see yourself. You just look, you can look down at your feet.
It's probably old instincts holding over from 4th edition, where you're not your own ally, and so some effects were only, so you couldn't target yourself because it was an ally specific. So, don't mind me. This is maybe some 4th edition still floating with me. Okay. So Mordecai, you look at your wounds and you have a pep talk, and you're exerting yourself, and you do seem to be able to close up your wound with your magic.
Oh, thank Christ. Okay.
The flesh just kind of like knits together.
Okay. Cool.
Anything else, Mordecai?
I am going to take a slash at the little bibbity bop right there in front of me.
Sure.
Get this guy. And snicked. It's 21.
Okay. A 21 will definitely hit this thing.
For 9 damage.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, what's that? 9 damage.
That's a pretty good hit.
Okay. So you cut across it, and as you do, it's slashing damage. I mean, you cut this thing long ways. I don't know, like a zucchini or something, or like an eggplant or something, or like a gourd you want to hollow out and scoop out. And so this thing is still there. It's cut down the middle and kind of splayed open, and it's still managing to be up and to be on its 2 feet, despite you having cut the stem in length.
All right. So that's action and bonus action. I'm done.
Okay. We're now over to Bright.
Okay, so out of character.
Yeah.
What's the? How do you adjudicate area of effect spells? Like, do you? Because normally, at least when I do it, it's like you pick a point, and the point is an intersection.
Oh,
and
right,
then
right.
It's,
Yep. Let's do that. Because unless it says it's, in this case for Greece, it was off of Celine, who's occupying the square. And again, this is also some old 4th edition instincts with bursts and blasts. But yeah, if you're picking a point for a radius off of a spell, then that's fine.
I don't think that changed between 4th and 5th edition, because I'm 120 years old, so I kind of remember
I think
It was an experimental phase.
I think in fifth edition, the way that they've done
So
it.
my point of origin is here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna set off a fireball, my very first fireball.
Okay.
Eyes for sure, because I'm looking over here. I'm not even looking at the flowers.
Okay. So you're gazing over to the side, and you go pew, and hopefully it is raining, so that's working for you. But as you cast fireball against the houses of people, is that going to catch Mordecai also?
Will catch me. Yeah.
Okay.
There. I don't know about the distance finder, but if you look in the DMG, and I don't remember what page it is on, but there is a grid, and it's displayed, and I have cleverly calculated the point to catch both plants, but not Mordecai. You can definitely get it on, like if you just go to Google image search for a radius calculator, but I know it's in the DMG and I just haven't found it.
If you use the cube method.
Yeah, to keep it simple, I'm going for things like cubes just to fill up the area. That way we're not. I don't want to. I personally, especially if I'm running a bunch of monsters that might use magic, I don't want to get into inches or one last foot. So if that changes your action, that's fine. But I want to fill cubes in this case. Meaning your aura is still hitting the target or the corners over here, Celine, because it's still 15 feet off of you. But to keep things flowing and to keep things moving instead of a perfectly round circle, I know some people are like square fireball. What's that? But I think it'll keep things moving easier. So you can still cast your fireball if you want, or if you want to take another course of action, you may. Given that, hey, we haven't really discussed this in depth beforehand, and so you can make a call on what you want to do here, Celine, or not Celine, Bright.
Yeah. Something different. I'm gonna cast a level 3 magic missile.
Sure. And you're gonna cast it on the little potted plant?
I'm gonna cast it on all 3 potted plants.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you go pew pew and one over the shoulder, pew off to the side. Okay. They unerringly hit, and I can tell you that this thing only needed a stiff breeze to blow it over. And what is your damage on the others?
So, if we assume that the first one was the one that was targeted there, I'm going to target number 2 and 3 at this guy, and number 4 and 5.
Sure.
So, in that case, and that's too bad because that was a really good fireball damage. So in that case, it's going to be, it looks like, I don't know how to read this. It's all screwy.
It would be 6 at the one next to me, and 8
Sorry, it's all screwy.
at the one over here.
After your magic missile goes off, another effect is going to occur.
So 6 over there.
Okay, so it looks like this one is going to take 7.
Okay.
Looks like the other one is going to take... I'm really sorry, guys. Oh my god.
Sorry, do what you gotta do.
Is it the overlay
The
on
chat
us?
keeps
Or the
scrolling,
overlay
and every
on
time
you?
it scrolls, my numbers disappear, so I can't count them up. So nobody type for a minute.
We're undermining you from within the party.
Okay, so my dice, my actual dice were 2, 4, 4, 2, 2. So the 2 goes away, so I've got 5, 5, 3, 3. So this guy's going to take 11, and this guy's going to take 6.
Okay. 6 is this one over here, right? All right. So, between Celine and Tiba, this one, 2 magic missiles just sort of inside, and the creature that was all like successful and standing up just sort of like looks down at the 2 holes that are inside, and for a quick second you just see this I guess pink or whatever associated color of energy that Bright is emitting from herself. She this little plant creature just sort of like looks down at its chest, and it blows apart, spreading soil and terracotta shards all around it. Celine, as you're looking for a brief moment, the thing was fluctuating bioluminescence between green and violet. And now it's emitting no more bioluminescence, but you do have mud on your face because you're slipping around in the grease, and this wet soil just sort of and is coming down your is coming down you here. This other one took the hits, and it still seems to be up. Anything else from you, Bright?
No, I think I'm going to go ahead and stand here.
Okay. Jade, a.k.a. Tiba,
Let me ask you,
oh.
can I take reactions yet, or is that still
Yes,
not?
yeah. You are not under its spell. If you fall to it, it owns you until the effect bleeds out, and it has to reapply it. So you can take reactions. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Real quick. The magic missile caused a random magic effect. Let's roll a percentile and find out which.
Oh.
52. A spectral shield hovers near you for the next minute, granting you a +2 bonus to AC and immunity to magic missile. So you have double immunity to magic missile, Bright. Okay. Let's flavor this, right? You have the brooch of shielding. So you cast magic missile. Something in your brooch seems to activate, and it projects a shield around you. That is like glowing in sort of like some Iron Man sort of like magic armor. And you get this +2 to AC around you.
Heck yeah.
That's really nice. I didn't expect to have that. That's I didn't even know it could do that. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm done.
I'll even say it's keeping the rain off you. So you just see like rain pattering atop your head, like 2 inches above your head, and it's just rolling down your
Flowers
armor.
Keeping the rain off.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Well, then extra rain. Extra rain repellent. The raindrops just flee off of you. They don't even strike you and go down. They just ricochet off of you. Right? It's force damage, so it's just boom. You're like a dog that's constantly shaking water off itself. Okay, so Mordecai, I mean, you'll have that fun roleplay effect. There's nothing detrimental, but Bright has somehow like used force magic to like phase shift herself into a vibration, and the water is just flying off her like a dog shaking off water.
Nice.
All right, so now we're at Jade, aka Tiba. Let me know what you're doing, and if your gaze falls upon our flower creature, since you now know the rules.
I do. Tiba doesn't.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry, my phone not my headphones just derped out. Let me switch battery packs. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
I do. Tiba doesn't.
Oh, gotcha. Hey, I like staying in that character. That's fine.
But yeah, Tiba sees Bright is in trouble. And is slipping. Tiba's trying to crawl himself out of the grease, trying to end up making it all work. He forces himself out and starts to hide a little bit away from the wagon and the little scary thing and the big scary thing. And he throws his hands out again because it seemed to work the last time.
Okay. All right. He throws out some jazz hands and Eldritch Blasts manifest.
So this is actually a little different. When Tiba throws his hands out, whereas this is ghoulish effect with jade, with gears, flesh.
Yeah.
When Tiba does it, what you see is a puff of flower petals.
Okay.
They just fly. They're going about. Except when they make contact, they act more like razor blades.
Sure.
Control volley.
I got 2 casts these.
Jade uses razor blade. It's super effective.
Yeah.
I was about to take that joke.
Why not? It seems to be the flavor of the week.
Right?
So does a 16 and 17 hit?
Yes. 16 and 17 hit.
15
Nice.
damage. It had to earn its attack sometime.
Okay.
And Tim was just kind of looking like, flower power?
Now go ahead and make a charisma save. And you're going to get a wild magic effect as well. So we're stacking effects and magic here. All right.
Wow,
So
okay, I can't get the 1, then I get the 2. Next roll is going to be a 3.
So you're summoning magic, and you're like, flower power! And you look ahead, and, you know, there's a burst of flower petals, and it impacts the monster. And then once your own petals dissipate, and you're like, yeah! And you sort of derp out. Yeah. So I will be giving you something some happy fun time effect on your next turn here, and also if that weren't enough, let's roll a percentile and find out what extra magic effect occurs. On a 44, for the next minute, you can teleport up to 20 feet as a bonus action on each of your turns. And so what we'll say is like for a moment you turn into like a poof of flower petals that then manifest in a poof, in like a smoky poof of flower petals elsewhere.
Heck yeah.
Amazing.
You're like a leaf on the wind here.
That's a very good effect.
Okay. It is now my little gribbler's turn. This one is going to... They're not exactly smart, so it's going to try and run into and savage Celine, but I need to make a dexterity check.
Well, first things first, how far is it moving? Because its speed is hard.
Okay.
And it's difficult terrain because of the grease.
So it was, let's see. I think it was starting here? So...
Yeah, it was over there.
Okay, so, 5, so that would be... Alright, so it's probably just trying to get inside the grease then. And it manages to do so with a 16 on its dexterity save. And it's going to try and conserve its momentum, and it's just going to try and slide. Woo! It'll like slide past you a little bit here with the remainder of its movement, and just sort of like woo, it'll spin around a little bit. And it's a we don't call it double move in 5th edition, but it's double moving, and it's up to you, so it's not taking an attack. And then...
Okay, it also needs to make a wisdom save.
Alrighty, I will do just that. Let's put one down here. It's crawling off of... There we go. And a wisdom save for it, a 19.
That passes, it's going to be taking half of this.
Okay.
It's going to be taking 4.
Okay.
4 radiant damage.
Alright. So, your radiant damage, it's a flare-up, and it kind of... and it still manages to coast and spin into place. Unfortunately, it looks like your light effect isn't really having too much of an impact on these plant monsters. So it's still up, and it's still gribbling in your general direction. The other ones appear, and let's see. Celine's down here, so 5, 10... 15, 20, and then it's going to try and double move. Let's see if it stands up.
Alright, so it's going to try and dash at me.
So
and that is a fail.
So this one runs into your radiant aura, and then it goes whoop, and it kind of and it has a crack in its pot, perhaps in the back end of it.
It also needs to make a wisdom save.
And it'll do so.
Whenever oh yeah, no, that succeeds.
It takes your magic and seizes control of it and uses it against you. No, it doesn't.
Cool.
But it definitely
it's going to be taking half of that.
It definitely puckered up its brain at your effect here.
It'd be 11.
Okay. So so Celine, you're like, yeah, this thing really put in work, and it's still standing there, and it's still babbling and making general plant noises, which itself should be disturbing because plants shouldn't make noises.
Yeah, but no, that was a 2 8s and a 7. That was nice.
Okay, this one lands also on its cracked pot, and
it also needs to make a wisdom save.
It seizes control of your spell and uses it against you.
It's gonna be taking 4 points. Wow, 9, 23, and 9.
So this one just sort of like, the extra photons that land on it just sort of brushes it off, and it looks pretty fine. Alrighty.
Do I have any area of effect spells that aren't concentration?
And 1, 2. This one's close. Mordecai. This one goes again, making disturbing plant noises, as if there's any other kind. And it's going to try and boop, and it fails to boop you. That is going to bring us to Noralai.
those acrobat moves.
What are you doing, Norlai?
I would like to. I can't move my piece for whatever reason.
Because you're in distance mode and not arrow mode. You need the
Yeah,
selection arrow.
re-click your selection arrow top left-hand corner,
Okay.
and then you'll be able to move.
There we go. Okay, I want to move here, and
Yep.
I would like to. And I'm really upset that the donkeys aren't everywhere. So I'm just going to clap my hands together and cast Thunder Wave. But I'm also going to use a sorcery spell point to make it careful, so I don't hit Hee-Haw or Salam.
Ah. Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to automatically succeed on the save versus the Thunder Wave.
Yep.
Thank you, my con isn't the best.
Okay. So Thunderwave is a DC 14. All right, so go ahead, Celine. Let's resolve you all first, and then I'll roll my monsters.
I automatically succeed.
I'm sorry. I thought it was advantage. Never mind. I'm being a
No,
derp.
it's an automatic success, which is pretty good. It's one of the really good things that the sorcerer gets.
Okay. So you all see this this thunder wave just emanates off of Norlai, let me see something here also. Okay. A thunder wave emanates off of Norlai, and so Celine, like, it's rolling your way, and some sort of force, acts as a shield and deflects it around you. The top one is he, the bottom one is Ha, and Ha just sort of looks over at this loud noise, and its eyes get very bright, and just as it's going Ha, clearly the power of its voice molds the very magic around it, as this donkey seemingly deflects a magic spell here. You can act in various shock or awe, because I don't think Norlai's done this before. So her abilities, I don't even think she talked about these abilities with Bright. So, it could be good discussion fodder for later.
We didn't really talk about magic.
So I take 4 damage from that, because...
And I need to make...
And I rolled the concentration, I rolled the bardic inspiration that Mordecai gave me earlier to make it above a 10, which means I pass.
1, 2,
So my spirit guardian just going.
3. Okay, so one of them is going to save for half, and the other ones are going to take are going to take that damage, and so the one closest to you here managed to sort of like. The thunder wave, it's just sort of bent backwards like a limbo, and it avoided most of that as it woo. But the other ones kind of like turned back to you, and then they got like the effect of like the wobbly cheeks, and as the ripples of thunder damage just rolled through them, and they were just sitting there vibrating, and they're all shook up. As that happens, though, you see that they vibrate, and then they just sort of like their flower petals eject off their faces, leaves fall off their bodies, and the very fine terracotta pots that they were existing in vibrate apart and just sort of, and mud just sort of like explodes up the side of this building. And Celine, once more, you're coated in another pots full of mud as this one just kind of like explodes.
God. Celine's gonna look up like, Norlai, did you know not to kick a lady while she's down?
And anything else from you, Norlai?
That's it.
Okay. We are now on to then Celine, but Celine, I think you were under the derp effect after your last cast. So you are going to have something happen, and that is going to be... you are going to take no actions, but you are going to use all of your movement to move in a random direction. So I'm going to roll a d8, and we're going to determine which direction you go. We're going to start with this square being 1. And...
Yep.
7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're going to start moving in this direction and continue to move, I guess, away from it. or I guess in this case, well, you're dirt by it. So no, I guess never mind. You're going to move towards it. So you're going to use all your movement to move one square here, and then continue your journey along the bottom wall, until you run out of movement.
Well, see, the funny thing about that is, Matty,
The grease?
is that no, I'm currently prone in the grease.
You are
and
prone
it's
in the
gonna take and it's going to take all of my movement speed to get up. So I can't move at all.
I think getting up from prone is half movement.
It's half.
Yeah, but it's difficult terrain. So each foot I move is doubled. So in difficult terrain, it actually takes all of my movement to get up from prone.
Sure.
So
Let me see if I understand this. So, half your movement, you move 30, right? So that leaves you with 15 movement. And now you're in difficult terrain, which means you half that, so you can move up to a 5-foot square.
Effectively,
You should
yeah.
be able to move once. Personally, I don't double the cost of getting up just because it's difficult terrain. But if we want to play it that way, it's not like it's gonna wreck the game.
Oh no, I'm not going to double the cost. So it'll be 15 feet to stand up and get your feet up, and then it is difficult terrain, so you can end up moving here, and that'll consume pretty much the rest of it. There we go. If it's at the start of your turn, you are already prone in the grease. So unless it has the spell has a rider that if you're moving through it, you have to make another save.
It's if I end my turn. So
okay, sure.
So I will need because I take no action. So basically, I will go there.
Okay.
And then I need to make a dex save to see if I fall over or not.
Okay, go ahead and do so.
Which I do. I am back at my house.
Okay. All right. So you get up, you're steady, and you say, "I'm coming to you, Flower Master." And you leap forward, and you slip, and you go whoop, and you just land like face first into into an inactive potted plant sitting outside the door of this establishment, and it just goes, and you just have more dirt and mud just caking you as you fall face first, prone, against this doorway.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, but your senses will return to you. It's been a turn, but also there's probably, without, I'm not going to impose any sort of an action restriction, but your face is covered in dirt and mud, so you definitely can't see the flowers right now. Anyway, okay, so that was Celine's turn. We're now going to go back up to the top. And it is now my flowery monstrosity's turn. Are there any? Yep. Are there anything? Okay. Ooh, it will not pass.
Nope.
And so it's just sitting there in a daze. It's looking at its own flowers and it just seems to be enjoying it. Or at least you're sort of like cursed. Like it's like a gray flower. I've never. And it's baffled by it's baffled by what it sees. All right, Mordecai, it lost its turn, and now we're over to you.
All right. So,
Hit the little guy, I'm gonna blow him up.
Are you averting your eyes from it, or are you... What are you doing here?
what am I doing? I think I'm going to... attack it. Snake.
Okay. Are you attacking the big one or the little one?
Big one.
The big one. Okay. You do have a little one on you, just as a heads up. But okay, yeah. Go ahead and
snake. Ugh, that's a 10.
Okay, you will not. It practices your own acrobatic. It sort of like wobbles in its stupor, and it avoids your attack.
Okay, bonus action. Yeah, 13.
Okay, so short sword is this nice, this like piercing damage on a short sword.
Disadvantage?
What's that?
Hmm?
I was saying, would you have disadvantage?
Oh yeah, because I averted my gaze, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
if you're like going then so yeah. you think that you land a blow, but it really just kind of went in between two vines. You're like, yeah, I scored a hit, and then you pull it back out, and there's no sap or goo or anything. This monster, Mordecai, now that you and Bright are fighting beside it, you're still continuing to see that it's changing color between violet and red. And the little monster that's beside you, Mordecai, is glowing red itself. Or has like this red bioluminescence. And Noralai, the little gribbler beside you, is not pulsing with any kind of light.
Okay.
We now have Bright. What is Bright doing?
Maybe it's one of those monsters where you have to hit it when it's the right color, otherwise it's invulnerable. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cast a fireball. Now that we learned the rules. And put the fireball right here. Include both of the plant monsters.
Okay.
And the south wall. What? Go ahead and roll the fireball.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll the fireball.
Bright's just like, come on, I know it's raining, but come on, this is magic. Come on, fireball. Come on, fireball.
Is it asking you what level you want to cast it at?
No, I'm figuring it out. I've never cast this spell before, and I just tried to cast it, and I couldn't get it to work. I had to cast a magic missile. And you remember we were practicing all night, and it fizzled twice, and it's really hard. It's a really hard spell. I've never cast it before, and it's just, oh, there it goes.
Yay. It's okay, Bright. No one can see your tears in the rain.
Right, but she has that effect. That's the only water on her.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's true. Oh, everyone does see your tears because it's from inside the armor. Got these big wobbly wet anime eyes. Like, I'm trying so hard.
That's just right. I believe in you.
All right, so I'm gonna roll first for the little gribbler, a DC 15, and it fails. And for the big one, it also fails.
So 22 damage to both. And I think the gribbler just burns up.
Yep,
We'll see what happens to
it goes,
that.
it just goes up in a wisp of smoke. And as for the biggin here, the biggin. Is still up, and it's up. It's still wobbly because it's under the effects of this curse of the curse of Mordecai. Who needs Curse of Strahd when you have the Curse of Mordecai?
It's not a vampire's curse.
But it's still there. You did manage to evaporate kind of the water that was on the back end of it. And it's going to quickly get wet again, but it's still up and it's still making noises and also being baffled at its own cursed flowers. Anything else from you, Bright? Or was that it?
I'm done.
Okay. We now go to Jade, a.k.a. Tiba. You can't take reactions, and instead, you... On a 6, that was the same thing. You're going to use all your movement to go in a random direction. This is going to be square 1, and I'm going to roll a d8.
It's better be a 5.
8.
Oh.
So, in this direction, you are going to use all your movement to run.
As south as I can.
So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares.
Teleport.
Oh, that's well. That's as a bonus action, I think. So that's uses all. Hang it. Takes no action, but uses its movement.
Okay.
So yeah, this will just be your normal movement. To move, because you won't get to use your teleportation until you're out of your stupor. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The hive. You controlled the groove.
So Tiba just goes like E.T. And starts running. Maybe leaves a couple flower petals in his wake as he starts taking off through here. Your flowery overlord Not that I think it can with its stupor, but it deigns not to attack you. And your effect falls off, Jade, as you find yourself back in your own self. Yourself within a self. Anyway, I'll let you inception whatever you want in this combat. Yeah, my name's Tiba. But you find yourself as Tiba, and now you're on the other side of the monster here. So for purposes of what's going on, we'll say that you're facing in this direction because that's where you're running. So you can still actively decide if you're averting your gaze or choosing to look back over your shoulder at the flower beast that is looming. We now come back up to the little Gribblies. As they are continuing to pour off of and out of. In fact, Celine, you sort of like preemptively killed one by doing a slip slide face smash into it. And so all you feel, like, as you're kind of coming around, is like little roots that are trying to squirm on your face, and it just sort of like stops and just falls off. A couple others, though, are going to end up as you've been sort of decimating the local pottery. We're playing kind of a Legend of Zelda game here. And there's not too many more pots left on the outside of the roads. They're having to sort of spawn in at greater and greater distances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it'll stick towards the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the one that's still here is going to, let's see, it's Celine. Does it take the damage or at the beginning of its turn, or is it at the end?
Which one?
This one, right here.
Are you talking about the aura or the grease? Because the grease is at the end of the turn. The Spirit Guardians is at the start.
Okay, then your Guardian effect will go off first, because it's just beginning its turn. And that's a Wisdom save, correct?
That's a Wisdom save.
Okay, it fails.
And it's taking 15.
Okay. It starts, and it goes to lunge forward. Norlai, I mean, you would have gotten an AO if it wasn't going to get murked here anyway. But this thing doesn't even seem to recognize, like, it's not going after you, and it's right there. But it does, like, lean its little tendrils out, and it starts to, like, lunge forward, and this guardian force just sort of, like, dusts it. It just sort of says, "I don't feel so well," and it turns into dust. And so, like, the remaining little, like, tendril arms that were intent on Celine just sort of end up, like, sliding through the grease and, like, give her a little bit of a tickle before they stop flopping around. And then this one's going to move up, but it's not going to get to attack. It's not going to get to attack Tiba, but it does move here. So Tiba, you have a little creature that's just sort of hobbling with wearing this, like, terracotta pot as like a diaper or like something like that, and it says, "Bah!" It comes up to you. That was their go. It is now Noralai's turn. Noralai, are you averting your gaze? There's nothing really in your way that's keeping you from looking ahead. So what are you doing?
Well, I was gonna turn around and fight off the little guys.
Okay. Sure, you can turn around then. You don't need to. I mean, you're averting, but you're not taking disadvantage because you're just flipping around.
Yeah. And I'm going to Ray of Frost the one below me.
Okay. That'll hit. And it's going to deal 9 cold. Although is that with the 2 dice?
Be.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
all right. So what happens is you turn around and you Ray of Frost, and this thing just sort of like it's now frozen against the wet brick wall that it was slinking across, and so it's just sort of like a plant-like hieroglyphic that's frozen and not moving against the side of this house. So it's effectively gone. And let's see what happens. Okay, a little bit more magical static is building in the air. That was Noralai's go. Celine, you are underped. What would you like to do?
So First, I'm gonna use. It is difficult terrain doesn't affect getting up.
Correct. It would only have been. It just takes half movement to stand up, regardless of that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use half.
Okay.
I'm gonna use 25. That'll be 25 feet movement.
Okay.
And then to move out of it will be my last 5 feet. I am averting my gaze.
Okay.
So I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the little guy over here.
Okay, so you're kind of, and what are you doing?
I am going to cast a guiding bolt at him.
Let's take this from.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, you do have one line that can go from that point to this point that doesn't cross through. So yeah, I'll say you can avert your eyes and still target him without any sort of cover. Oh, nice. Okay, a guiding bolt does in fact flee from your body and impact the little guy.
It'll just be level 1, sure. He's going to be taking 13 radiant damage. The next attack against it, before the start of my next turn, has advantage.
Okay, so your bolt goes off and boo, it slams against the thing, and it when the little bit of like localized light show finishes, it has like a smoldering mark of Ouija's or something on it that's thematic to Celine. That's kind of guiding, like it's inviting death or an attack. But it is still standing. It is still standing.
Yeah. So that it's. I also, just to clarify, it's the next attack made before the end of my next turn, not the start.
Okay.
Just have to make sure to check that out.
All right. So you tag the little dude that's wobbling up, and let's see what happens on this spell cast. Okay. More magic resonance is filling the air, and we are going to cycle back up to the top, and it's going to be a wisdom saving throw from the big guy.
Yep.
He shakes it off.
He broke free.
Okay, and
For this turn.
What's that?
That just for this turn, though.
Yeah, if the curse is still on, so he says, "Wait, these aren't my flowers." Well, he doesn't say that, but he looks at you, Mordecai, as the source of this pollution, of this corruption, and is going to make some tendril attacks against you. So I'm going to roll once, and we're going to take the first 2 numbers for its tendrils. So that is going to be, well, there's a crit in there. Does an 18 still hits you, though, right?
Cutting words.
Okay, and that will diminish to hit by 6, yes? By a d6?
A D8.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Only one.
All right, so
Continuing with the theme of the game.
you.
It's
So-
more gentle pruning words.
Yeah. You go for some sort of big dramatic flourish, forgetting that brevity is the soul of wit, and you have this big monologue going, but all you manage to say is "what," and it still manages to slap you. Okay, so the first normal hit is going to deal. Let's see. 8 psychic damage as it reacts to you, and again you get this glowing red effect. The critical hit is going to be. Hey, it is the theme of the game. Even the monsters are getting it. It's the critical hit is going to land for the same damage as the normal hit. Take another 8 psychic damage. And then lastly, it's going to kind of lash out with its mouth vines and try and tickle you in a very rough fashion. And this is going to go for 13 psychic damage as it strikes you.
I am unconscious.
Mordecai, the vampire, is unconscious, or in torpor, or in something. He's not moving. He falls down. Someone turn his head so he doesn't choke on the rain. Oh, he doesn't need to breathe anyway. Okay. So with that, you see Bright. You're right next to him. In looking at a concerned Mordecai, and clearly not the flower creature. You're at least getting a little bit of the tendrils, but that's not enough to woo you. You're more of the you're a bright queen here in terms of display. And so, you're looking at it, and you just see that there's like pulses of bioluminescence, red luminescence, just sort of like flowing up from Mordecai. That was its go.
Be possessed by.
Mordecai. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Be possessed by it once.
Oh. Mordecai, you can effectively make a death saving throw here, as there are things that are happening. You may already be dead, but there is something going on that is still forcing you to make a... Okay,
Fail.
so that is a fail. A 2 definitely fails a death saving throw. And so your essence continues to like drain out of your body into this creature. It is now over to Bright. Bright, what are you doing?
Celine, Mordecai's dying. Are you going to be able to help him?
You sound like you're telling on someone.
Yes. Yes.
Celine, Mordecai's dying again.
I feel like he is. Able to help him before he dies? Maybe, kind of?
Yeah, I can get to him.
Hey, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna... I don't like this. None of these, all my options are bad, as usual.
Poor Bright.
I hope
When it down to missile.
I could. It's not that. I hope this isn't one of those plants that gets stronger when you hit him with lightning. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and take a step back.
Okay.
Opportunity attack me. He can do that.
Does an 18 hit you?
It doesn't because I cast shield.
Okay. So not only are you wearing 2 coats of armor, but now you manifest a magical shield. You are some gnomish juggernaut clad in magical armor here. As the vine just sort of like slaps off of your shield spell.
Well, we got that taken care of, and now I'm gonna go ahead and cast a firebolt at him.
Okay. Pew.
Even gonna avert my eyes. I'm gonna bravely cast firebolt right at him.
Oh. Are we?
Charisma save?
No, it's an attack roll.
I want to find out, like, if I have to make the save first, or if I should just roll the firebolt, or what.
Because you're not averting your gaze. I'm sorry. It might have cut out. I thought you said that you are, and so you're going to take the disadvantage and just sort of fire wildly. Yeah, if you're not going to avert your gaze, you're going to have to make a charisma save. Although, before that, because you did cast shield, let me see if there's an effect.
I hope there's an effect.
There is not an effect on the shield. And so now you
Yeah, that's
can
too bad.
you can continue with your charisma save.
It's really fun.
Okay. So you look at it, and, for a moment you say, those are really pretty flowers. But I can't enjoy them right now, and you maintain your senses. While still respecting its intrinsic beauty.
So, really pretty flowers, and I would really like to take them home and plant them and take care of them and give them all pretty names. But instead, what I'm going to do is shoot them with a firebolt.
Okay, and
17.
a 17. Okay, so the firebolt slams into this thing, and it does not it seems to fizzle out on impact. Maybe you hit a really wet patch, or you hit sort of in a crook of vines where a bunch of water had accumulated, and there's just a little bit of steam that pours out.
Oh. Okay. So, that's weird. I didn't expect that, especially with the 17, but I guess those are the way the dice roll. So, now I have to decide what to do. Is I'm going to come over here, left. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stand here instead.
Okay.
Watch out! Both of these creatures will eat you.
That's very good wisdom.
I'm done with my turn now.
Tibba.
Yes.
What wilt Tibba aka Jade, aka Tiba, aka Jade do?
Well, Tiba can't let Mordecai, he was so nice, and get hurt. But she can't get past Brighton, the scary thing, so... Flower power!
If you're aiming a bolt at this one, it has advantage.
You get the fun effect. How come I don't get the fun effect?
Okay, and you're flower powering the little one on you?
No, I'm flower powering the big one.
Oh, okay. Make a charisma, por favor. Charisma save.
All right, time to roll a 3. I've rolled 1. 10 turns in, I'm guaranteed to save.
Hey, there we go. All right, so you finally attuned yourself to the flowers that are apparently becoming parts of you, and you also respect the intrinsic beauty of this thing, but you realize that this is not the time or place for that, and you shoot out some flower power for 12 force damage.
Tibbet looks to Bright, really, really happy to see Bright. Oh my god! He looks, starts screaming at this. And you said I have a what range for teleport?
20, as a I think it's at a bonus action.
Bonus, yep.
Plop.
Okay.
At that point, Tiba is screaming, scared. All of a sudden, plop, no, he's on the other side, and now confused even more so. Not sure what ended up happening, and I think that's Tiba's turn.
You know, for a really good effect, if any of you played BioShock, what Tiba is doing is what the Houdini splicers do to move around in that game. Okay.
There's just a burst of flower petals, and then Tiba's gone. And then over there.
It is now my little Gribbler's turn. So one's going to creep up on Bright. And 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bring it on, Gribbler.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's going to double move up. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And it's skirting around the Death Angels and the Grease alike. And then these ones are just sort of like, what's going on down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. All right, so we have one attack coming from my little potted plant goblins or gremlins or whatever. This is going to be a 19 AC on Bright.
You missed.
Okay, so Bright the arcane juggernaut, just sort of, the attack just, poof, you just see this rippling magical effect. Speaking of magical effects, I totally forgot, on Tiba, something happens. Let's roll that real quick. On a percentile, we got a 13, which means that you cast Confusion centered on yourself. And can you do that from where you were before teleporting?
It's gonna change a lot of things.
Oh, that will. All right, so do it from where you're at now. I don't know. We'll that'll be more convenient just to keep things moving. That was my fault for forgetting to roll it at that point in time. So cast Confusion off of you right now. If you need it.
It's a 10-foot sphere.
The world is flat and fireballs are cubical.
So it's going to be me, it's going to be Jade, it's going to be Mordecai, it's going to be the creature, the big guy. So
Okay.
it's a wisdom save, so you still have to make it.
Okay, so as if you had cast it.
Boss.
Yep, Celine.
Jade is not.
Jade is you've confused, you've baffled even yourself. Poor Tiba. And
already did that.
and Mordecai doesn't have to make a save, so he's immune to the effects. You cheater. All you have to do is be dying and you can avoid all this stuff.
Just be passed out. It's
Yeah,
fine.
just and then for the monster, we have a wisdom a 13 I don't think is going to pass. So
That's a fail.
And so what happens on Confusion?
It's
basically like the thing that your monster does. You have to roll each turn to see what happens.
Okay.
And it's a
To
D10.
save at the start of its...
Okay.
No, at the end of its turn.
Oh, it's at the end of the turn. Oh well. I imagine what on the initial hit is it affected? I don't have the spell up right now, but
it's for the next minute. It needs
Let me see if it's in
to
the compendium.
It is. I don't know if it's in the compendium. I think it might be in the compendium.
You can always just Google it.
Yes, it is.
okay.
Um,
Well, it'll affect me soon enough here, but to keep things moving along, it is going to be Noralai's turn. Noralai, you're hanging out by the donkey who has... actually, I haven't been rolling for the other donkeys. We're just going to say that both of them decided to lay down. That's going to be a lot easier than to continue to flail around. So both he and Ha are covered in ectoplasmic grease and are just sort of, doing their thing. Noralai, what are you doing? You have 2 little potted plants incoming. One ran past you up this way, and sounds of other sort of combat and such are ensuing from behind you.
I'm gonna use Aurora Beam
Aurora Beam.
on the top one up there.
On the top one here?
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Okay. Aurora Beam is Ray of Frost, or is that something different? Or is that just your name for it?
It's random.
Okay, so you're making all the, like, Aurora, and you're making the hand signals, Beamoo! And, and projecting,
It's a very Sailor Moon kind of attack.
Okay, so it does hit, definitely a 22 does hit, and this thing just sort of, like, freezes and frosts over, and its momentum keeps its feet frozen to the wet road, and the other half of it just sort of cracks in half and wobbles, and it is no more. Okay. That was Noralai. It is now Celine's turn.
yes, it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not looking at this guy.
Okay.
I'm averting my gaze. I'm going to move 5 and 10. Could both this guy here and this guy make wisdom saves?
Sure. All right. Top Gribbler is going to be is going to pass, and it will seize control of your spell and use it against you. As I'm just critically passing and manipulating your own magic. And the large one. Okay. Top takes 3. That's radiant though. So it sort of dusts off a couple of your photons, and the big one here is going to also pass.
And
Is it a different damage roll, or is it the same for the instance?
it's different.
Okay.
Because the group roll would have come in first, and then impact, so that'll be 10 radiant that it takes. Now... so for my action, I'm gonna... for my action, I'm going to spare the dying Mordecai. Just to stabilize him, so he's not making death saves anymore. And...
Okay. So you cast Spare the Dying here, and you cast the spell, and it seemingly has no effect. The magic doesn't seem to manifest as you've used the spell before. He doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't take a gasp of air. It has an interaction with his body, but it doesn't seem to do what you might have been hoping.
He's undead.
He is.
Undead. But that's fine, because I'll then use a second level spell, and as a bonus action, I'm going to cast me some spiritual weapon
Okay.
behind the big guy, because I have seen that spell before, and I don't need to look at the point to do this. So I can go into spiritual weapon.
Okay, so you just say, weapon, over there! And you sort of, you provide your intent, and another spell is cast. Aha!
There's gonna be some special stuff happening.
Yeah, Celine, you keep triggering a lot of this stuff, especially in the other fight. Okay, so the spiritual weapon manifests, and it will hit with a 24, and
It's gonna deal 8.
and it's force damage at that. Got it.
Yes.
All right, so you bonk it, or no? It's a scythe. Yeah, you manifest or something, isn't it? Or
Yeah, it's a scythe.
okay, so
It's a scythe, so it gets slashed.
okay, it does in fact follow those orders and get slashed. And what happens? We're gonna roll a percentile and find out. On an 11, all right, Celine, I need you to roll a D10, please.
She's gonna get even taller.
You rolled a 3. Your height.
I'm going to
Your height
shrink
changes a number of inches equal to the roll. If it's odd, you shrink. If the roll's even, you grow. So, Celine, you shrink 3 inches. That being said,
Permanent.
that being said, your weight doesn't change, so you actually look a little chubbier now too.
I'm now 5'11".
Dang, she tall.
Now, question.
Yes.
Will it remove curse and this effect on me?
It's not really a curse. It's just this like you got caught in a wrinkle in reality with wild magic. Now, so a remove curse might not. I am open to creative roleplay, just as I am open to creative roleplay for you understanding your own curses of fey or vampiric infection or some other things that we're undergoing. You know, there are some effects like the ghost aging process does kind of have a caveat where you might be able to reverse the aging effect. This, though, you just got caught in a wrinkle in time and space, and it shrunk you 3 inches. So we'll have to see what happens. In the heat of the moment, you might not even really notice it that much. But if you have any fans out there, like you probably actually have that little bit where the stockings kind of like, you know, pinch into your thighs a little bit, and you know you got the nice little chubby elf ears, and you're just a little bit more softer looking. Okay, next up.
Positive side. It'll probably be easier to find clothes that fit you.
Hey, you aren't freakishly tall. You're just normally tall.
No, it's not easy for me.
That was Celine.
Yeah, that's my turn.
All right, we're back up to the top. Mordecai, does being dying end that? Some spells might have a lingering effect. Is it still cursed, or do you have to concentrate on that?
No, it's a concentration spell. It
Okay.
dropped.
All right, so it doesn't like this, and Celine, you're the one who made it feel pain, and it's going to try and attack you here. The first 2 rolls.
D10.
Oh shoot, that's right.
It's confused.
It's confused. Thank you for the reminder. Let's roll a D10 and find out what happens. I rolled a 9.
It should act and move normally.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's going to attack you. The first 2 20s are going to be its tendrils. It's like main tendrils. 13 and 13. So it's going to be a 21 and a 21. Are those 2 hits?
Yeah, those will both hit. That's at the start of its turn though. Before it does anything else, can I make a wisdom save for me, please?
Sure. Wisdom saving throw of a 10.
Straight 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna fail. So it's gonna be taking some damage before it does anything.
Sure.
And it's gonna be taking 12 radiant.
Okay. So it moves in and it shakes off the confusion, and the tendrils lurk up over you, Celine. And then your spectral your angels swoop in and harvest this flower monster, and its tendrils kind of rush forward, passing over the unconscious. I'm using polite terminology. The unconscious Mordecai, and and goes to impact you. But your angels swoop in and use their scythes to cut these noodly appendages off of the plant creature, and so instead what happens is just sort of like a bunch of spaghetti just explodes on you, and you're covered in green vines and wiggling plant parts, and kind of like this red sap is coating you, similar to like you just like popped a giant mosquito on yourself or something. But it does fall. It does just fall over. You did just enough damage to actually bring it down. So you can thank your little guardian death angels for that. Otherwise, it would have gone on to savage you.
Probably eviscerated you.
And when this thing just sort of like collapses into a pile of flowers and petals, the other potted plants just sort of like wiggle, and then they kind of revert back to normal plant form, leaving just slightly wobbling terracotta flower pots around.
It's so are we out of initiative, or
there are no more obvious threats on the board.
Jade at this point ends, well, no, Tiba ends up running over to Mordecai and kind of starts shaking. Mordecai, are you awake? Mordecai! He just starts screaming at him, and for some odd reason,
real quick, you can do that. I guess we still technically have an initiative issue because he does need to make death saving throws. So I guess Mordecai, go ahead and make another one, please. Okay, all right, and now we'll have a turn of you all can interact in some way, and then we'll come back to Mordecai. So you go over your Mordecai, and his head is hitting the wet cobbles. Mordecai, wake up, Mordecai! Ugh.
Don't tempt me, lethality. Don't tempt me.
Oh,
Um, are any of you doing anything more than trying to rouse him verbally?
God.
So are the other plants not there anymore?
There's still plants everywhere, but there's none that are creeping, crawling, attacking, or anything.
I'm going to just try to clear the wagon so I can get the donkeys out of the...
Okay.
The police only lasts for a minute before evaporating.
Yeah, so it sells a little bit of
Something I
time.
need to do.
Yep. What's up, right?
I have to take my dagger and I have to cut my wrist again, or not my wrist, my palm again.
Okay.
I'm glad that you're not the sort of DM that says, "Oop, you said it, I have to do it." And I'm gonna get a little bit of blood and make Mordecai's mouth.
Okay.
Ew.
Um.
I want to do it, especially since I just did this yesterday, but it's the only way.
Okay. And so, Bright, you go and you will inflict 3 points of damage to yourself as you cut your hand, and you place it over Mordecai's mouth, and your blood starts seeping into his mouth and down his throat, and you have effectively done a spare the dying, to where the wounds that he has taken have kind of have not really scabbed over, but kind of like scarred over, as his tissue has only partially regenerated, but enough that he's not leaking any more fluids out of his own body. So you are under the effects of spare the dying, Mordecai. So you're at 0. You're stable, but you're not conscious. So there's that. So there you go. Bright just kind of gave you a slap patch of blood. However, Mordecai, you are having a very interesting kind of dream in your torpor. Very bright colors. Woodland animals are all around you.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we should all take turns giving him blood and see what his dreams are, but also that would turn him evil, so we really shouldn't do that.
I'll tell you what. Since we're at a safe point here to clean up after the combat, let's take at least a quick break. I need to get up and use the restroom. I think I'm gonna refill my pitcher with some water, and then we'll come back and we can write out the rest of the resolution and piece together what happened, clues, stabilize Mordecai, experiment on or with Mordecai, and continue on. We'll be back very soon here, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed the combat, and we'll come back and clean it up.
I need to find this.
Yep, I got you. We'll clean up and do that.